Hello everyone! Let's talk about Sansevieria, if you hadn't guessed. So Sansevieria is known as a snake plant or a mother's tongue. Very popular and easy to care for houseplant, and that is for a good reason. These guys are so hardy. They can survive in a variety of light conditions. They're very forgiving. There's really not much that you can do to kill these guys. But let's go over some basic care tips. So watering these guys is pretty straightforward. I would highly recommend that you let your soil dry out completely before re-watering these guys. They definitely do not like to sit in any kind of moisture. The roots will rot very easily. You want to make sure you have these guys planted in very well draining soil. Something like a terracotta pot would be excellent. However, you can definitely do plastic or nursery pots like I have here. I haven't gotten around to redoing these guys. And for light conditions, Sansevieria or mother's tongue are one of the few plants that is low light tolerant. And just because I say low light tolerant doesn't mean that you should necessarily put your Sansevieria into a low light condition. However, if you have it in a darker corner, it won't be the end of its life. You should just know the more light you give these guys, the more energy they're going to have and the more prolifically they're going to grow. So if you have your Sansevieria in a medium to lower light condition and it's not growing quite as much, move it a little bit closer to a window and give it some time, and it should definitely kind of perk up and speed up its growing process a bit. So you should know that the growing process of these plants is a little bit different. They actually grow from the tip of the leaf. So whenever you're buying a Sansevieria, something to look out for is the condition of the ends of the leaves, like the tips here. If you see browning or the tip of the leaf is dead, it's actually not going to grow anymore from that specific leaf. So you definitely going to keep an eye out on that whenever you're purchasing your Sansevieria. Look for a healthy plant that doesn't have any kind of browning bits on the foliage, and you should see it kind of take off some more. So pests on these guys haven't really ever had a problem. Super easy to clean off the leaves. You just wipe down with a clean washcloth or some neem oil. If you're not familiar with neem oil, I do have a purchasing link down below. You can use my affiliate link. It's a really great preventative measure for controlling your pests or even for killing some pests. The oil is actually safe for the plant, shines up the leaves and cleans it, and it suffocates some of the pests that you can find on your plants. And it's a little bit brutal, but it's a natural way to control pests on plants. You don't want an infestation in your house, and you definitely don't want to sacrifice any of your precious green plant babies. So you can see these guys actually get gigantic if you let them. I bought this one online. I'm sad to say that I did not have it grow this full for me. However, super easy to propagate these guys. So what I did here, I actually just trimmed some Sansevierias around the base. This is actually off of this plant here. And you'll see that they've got some roots growing on there if you just stick it in some water. These guys take a long, long time to water propagate. So you can actually see, this guy I'll show you here has some more roots growing on it too. To do this, I just cut one of the leaves off and stick it in some clean water in a warm and sunny location. Change the water once every few days, once a week. If you're busy like me and can't really get around to it, that's fine too. But so you can actually see what happens whenever we propagate this. So just like this guy here, I actually had one that I cut up several times. You just want to make sure that you are putting the bottom part of your cutting. So if I were to cut this leaf in, let's say, 3 different locations, I want to make sure I put the bottom area of what I cut directly into the soil, because that's going to be where the roots grow, or into the water, whatever you choose to do. But once these guys actually had some roots growing on them, I just stuck them into the soil, and then they actually push pups up out through the soil. Same with this guy here. So some of the shorter leaves on this guy, every growing season, if you're treating your plant well, you're going to see some pups start to come out and peek out from the soil, and you can just let those guys go, and your plant will fill out throughout time. So I believe that these leaves are actually going to die off just to give enough energy to these new sprouts coming up. So super easy to propagate too. These guys are super forgiving. And as you can see, there are a few different kinds of Sansevieria plants. This is a golden honey Sansevieria here, kind of a different type. So it's rosette forming, that's what it's called. It has this really nice pattern. Fibonacci, shout out to you, sis. How you doing? Um, but you can see this guy actually has a pup growing up out of the soil here. These guys don't mind being root bound, so I can just leave this here. It won't really detriment the plant or anything. However, if I wanted to harvest this pup, I would just pull this guy up out of the soil, and I would just pull off the roots here, move some of that soil out, and I would just cut this guy off, and then go ahead and pop it in some soil, and it would be pretty happy there, and it would grow just like this guy here. There's also some other different varieties of Sansevieria, which I can post pictures to. Sansevieria cylindrica, those are very popular. They're more of like a tubular shape, more cylindrical, as the name would imply. There's also whale fin Sansevierias, which are typically just one very large kind of like oblong, obtuse leaf. But yeah, guys, if you have any questions on Sansevieria Care, don't hesitate to comment or let me know. If you would not be so kind as to like this video, I would really appreciate that, and subscribe if you would like to see more videos like this. I have tons of houseplants, and I'm not only going to post houseplant content, there's going to be some more content coming out in the future, but I think I covered everything there is to know about these Sansevierias. Very easy to care for, very forgiving plants, super fun to care for, to propagate. Just like with all houseplants, it's pretty addicting. Once you get going, it's like you want more and more and more. So I have a problem. I'll see you guys later. Bye.